Those of you who like to start watching these episodes of the model ship as soon as they're available on YouTube, which is 5 p.m. Winnipeg time, will have noticed that yesterday's episode started out really low res. It stayed at 360p for about 45 minutes. Then it jumped into sort of mediocre high res, and it didn't get into 4K until about 2 hours later. Now, I don't know what happened there yesterday. I do know that the first time I tried to upload the episode, after about 40 minutes of uploading, all of a sudden I got a message saying upload failed. So I had to start all over again. It just made it. Maybe that had something to do with it. YouTube didn't have it long enough to process it properly. I don't know. Anyway, if this sort of thing does happen, all you have to do is just wait an hour or two, and then usually it'll be in high res. Yeah, if you want to be able to see this easy line, you pretty well gotta be watching it in high res. I mean, this stuff is just so delicate and so fine. It's like looking at a spider web. Now, there's a couple of things I want to mention here, and probably about 3 things. First of all, the tension that I put on the line, I want to have it just tight enough to hold the line straight, and yet not so tight that it's beginning to stretch it. Now, I know there is the possibility that over time, this rubber that the line is made of, it could suddenly, or not suddenly, but slowly, start to sag. I don't think it will contract. I think that it will go the other way and sort of slowly stretch. So I do want to have a tiny bit of stretch. Like this stuff stretches considerably. But I don't want it so tight either that it's starting to pull down on stuff. Another thing I want to mention is, I'm sure a lot of you saw me catching this with my hand when I was reaching over to the other side. So maybe what I'm going to have to start doing is not do that anymore. Third thing I want to mention is, notice the manual in the background. Where the line is up against the manual, you can see it quite clearly. I think I'm going to make some sort of have a white sheet of paper or something on maybe on some sort of a stand or something like that, that I can always have in behind, so that I don't have a dark background, and that way most of the line will show up. Okay, now let's talk about some of the pictures that I found. Now, as you can see, there's just a myriad of lines and what have you. They can't all be antennas for radio communication. Yeah, a lot of them are, some of them are guy wires, like the ones we're working with right now. I believe those are guy wires to help keep the mast from swaying. Now, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know what all those things that look like insulators that run up and down the line are. Are they insulators, and I don't know why, but are they insulators, or maybe there's some sort of an expansion thing? I don't know, like a snubber, that kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, they, like I say, some of them are ropes for running signal flags up and down. Some of them are antenna, and some of them are guy wire. So anyway, there's sure a lot of them. We're not going to be putting all of those on, I can assure you. Now, another thing, you'll notice something in every one of these pictures that's sort of common, and that is you can see at the top where the line is attached. But where it comes down and attaches to the ship, you can't really see where or what it attaches to. Well, you can sort of see where, but not exactly, so you have to sort of do a lot of guessing. Now, fortunately, we do have the manual from that other kit, and in this particular illustration you can see where the lines go down. They just appear to, tie to the railing. Now, that must mean that this was probably just a rope for, hoisting a flag or something. Probably back in the 40s, that's what they did. I shouldn't laugh, I'm from the 40s. Okay, this is what I've come up with. It might be a little bit overkill. So let me get myself set down here. All we got is a piece of paper attached to a cardboard box. Should have been more prepared. Now I don't want to be catching anything on anything. I think I'll just release this for the moment. Now the idea is I may reduce the size of this. I can see right now I'm going to have a problem seeing my monitor over it. So my thinking is that when I have the camera usually mounted on this thing right here, and I'm usually moving it around, I'll have the white background, and all being well, the easy line will show up against it. Well, I don't need to explain that to you. Let's try it out. Okay, we're sort of back to where we were before. You remember I was measuring the tension on this line right here. And I do have to remember to always slightly overexpose the scene, otherwise the light background is going to throw the auto exposure for a loop, and things like my hand won't look normal, they'll look all washed out, and so will the details on the ship that are in the scene, like the side of the funnel where the line fastens onto and so on. Now I gotta make a correction here, and I'll bet you some of you have already picked up on the mistake I just made. Yeah, I said that my hand would be washed out, in other words overexposed. I meant my hand would have been dark. It would have been the other way around. I was thinking dyslexically, if there's such a word. I think this is going to work out okay. I've got my monitor, I'm looking at my monitor off to the side a little bit here, so I can see it. This might be a little higher than need be, but on the other hand, well, it's not hurting anything, at least not yet. Okay, I've decided what I'm going to try to do is fasten it to the side of that ring that you see that goes around the mast, just below the bottom of the ladder. I think I better put just a little bit more tension on here. Just a little bit. Now, I know I did have it hooked up there before and then it sort of fell off. Okay. Now, that's not very tight at all, but it's tight enough, you know, that it's in a straight line. Now I think if I touch my glue applicator right there, and then do the exact same thing with the other line on the other side. Okay, it shouldn't take very much here, just there. Okay, after that cures, we'll nip the top of the line off, and because it would be too hard actually to go down around with the same line and poke it in the hole and adjust the tension, so we're going to have to do it the same way, only in reverse. Okay, Tony, if you're watching, you've probably used this easy line more than anybody else, and I know it has been suggested to cut the line with nail clippers. However, I have just honed my hobby knife here, and I can't get the nail clippers in there. So what do you use? I think I would cut it right there. Maybe if I had a little tension on this, I can grab the right one, that is. And it's under tension, it might sort of peel away. I don't want to pull it off of there. It looks like the CA glue has wicked its way up. Yep, that's what's happened. The CA glue has wicked its way up, and I've got quite a bit of easy line attached to the post there. I want to, maybe I'm going to have to turn the camera off and get my other hand in from the other side to sort of reinforce the, hold against myself, and then push the blade right there and then just pull it off. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, now the idea is, if I can sort of go in behind with my crochet hook here and hold against myself, and then I'm using a steady rest here to rest my arms on, and then when I push, I'm not going to be breaking the mast off. I am sure that I'm through the easy line now. Now I would think if I pull on this one right here, it should come off. Now I sure do hope that I've cut. I'm tangled up on there. Okay. Come on. Now is this going to pull away? Or is it going to... Haha, got it. Alright. Now, another piece of good news is you can't help but notice a lot of our snow is gone. I think I'm probably more happy about that than I am about the fact that this piece didn't pull away here on me. And I do believe that the tension is just about right. It's just enough to hold it straight, and yet it's not really pulling the mast forward. Now I've stuck my macro lens back on here. The reason being is where I was cutting was below where it broke off. Where it broke off was probably at the beginning of where it, where the CA glue was attaching. So I'm wondering if the CA glue weakened the rubber and it just let go right there. In all likelihood, if that's the case, I didn't need to cut because I was cutting down here. In fact, you can probably see the mark from the blade there. I sort of can from way back here even. Anyway, interesting to me. Obviously we've turned around and we're looking at the other side now. Now where's the end here? I think it's here somewhere. All right. So we want this to come down, and we have to make ourselves a little hole right there. Now I've mounted our 19mm drill bit into this mandrel here, and I'm going to try and use the cordless drill. Now I do believe it comes about right here. You can see that there's a line, a seam right here, there's a seam right there. Now if I remember right, it comes in this section right here, slightly halfway above halfway. In other words, right where I'm touching right there. However, I just want to check with a mirror here to see if I've got that right. Yes. Yeah, that's where it comes. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but main thing is I can see it. Okay. We'll just make a little starter hole right there. Might have made it a smidgen too high, but you can't see both sides at the same time anyway. Okay, I've rigged myself up a steady rest here. Now, I want to be careful I don't catch that little gun. If it should all of a sudden sort of plunge through. Okay, I'll put the point of the bit right in the hole. Like so. I think we're ready to boogie. I'll put the macro lens on. I went to put my macro lens on, and at the same time I kind of glanced up at the clock. You know what? It's a lot later than I thought. If I don't quit right now, we're going to have another situation like yesterday. So I gotta say, bye for now, and we'll see you tomorrow.